So what happened in the Holocaust and all the pogroms were disgusting. That doesn't mean that Israel...
That was a clip from Piers Morgan Uncensored, which is the political equivalent of the Jerry Springer Show. And you just heard Katie Miller, wife of Stephen Miller, yes, that's Stephen Miller, threatened to have her fascist husband deport Cenk Uygur, a naturalized U.S. citizen, during a crashout that she had on live TV. And in the same breath, she also threatened to deport Ilhan Omar, another U.S. citizen and member of Congress to boot. Now, it's not the first time that a right-winger has called for the deportation of a U.S. citizen. They've also called on DHS to deport Mehdi Hassan as well as Zoran Mamdani because they dared to engage in wrongthink. And it just confirms that American conservatives never deserve a single shred of charitability from anyone else ever again. When they told you that they weren't against all immigration, just illegal immigration, they were lying. When they said that they cared about free speech, what they really meant was they cared about free speech for them and not you. When they cried election integrity, what they really meant was that they wanted to suppress votes for black and brown people. When they claimed to believe in states' rights, what they really meant was states' rights for red states to go full fascist, individual liberty for them, but not for you. When they argue about school choice, what they really just mean is no more public education. Every single thing that they say is either projection, doublespeak, or a straight up lie. And the real life version of them is so much worse than any right-wing caricature that we could concoct in our minds. And I think that Stephen Miller's wife perfectly embodies the shamelessness and hypocrisy of the modern day Republican Party. But in the lead up to her disgusting threat against Cenk, she takes what right-wingers would describe as woke identitarianism, and she uses that to deflect Cenk's legitimate criticism of her egghead husband. She also does this to pretend as if any and all criticism of Israel is inherently anti-Semitic, because of course, and you can see how apoplectic she becomes after Cenk dares to challenge her and treat her as if she's an equal.
Why is it that every time someone wants to criticize Mamdani, it immediately comes back to the Jews and the anti-Israel movement instead of actually talking about his viewpoints, which is that he wants to make...
Nobody said Jews. You just said it. You always do that. We say Israel, you say Jews. We say Israel is a government. Please don't make it about Jewish Americans. And you come back and go, you have to make it about Jewish Americans. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Is Israel a Jewish state? Yes or no?
Yeah. First of all, okay, so Saudi Arabia is a Muslim state, and you can criticize it all day long, there's no special protection
because
for
what you're doing is you're decoding language
that
to
calls
mock
themselves
American
a Jewish state or a Muslim
state. And to say that
state.
we should not be here and we should not be in existence and that you would be happy for other people like Mamdani to use
it. I want Israel to be safe.
Nothing of the sort.
Nonsense. You're totally lying. It's very normal for a Miller to be completely and utterly lying. That's not true. We want Israel to be a safe haven for Jews, 1967 borders. But you guys say, no, more Palestinian land. Take Gaza, take the West Bank, take southern Lebanon. Your greed knows no bounds. And by the way, you and your husband are supposed to be working for America, not for Israel. I think you're betraying this country.
No, Piers, quite frankly, I'm really sick and tired of this racist, bigoted rhetoric that comes from people like you against my husband, against my family, and my children. I am raising Jewish children in this country.
Who brought your children into this? What a weirdo.
Piers, I'm going to be done with this if you're going to allow racist and bigoted attacks against one of your commentators just for the sake that he will not
hang on.
Speaking.
Casey, to be clear, he inserted
a line that says the Miller's lie. Is that not coded language for therefore we are Jewish? Come on, Piers. Where are you?
What?
Where are you standing?
God, you're so
Casey,
pathetic.
if I can speak.
Everything's your shield.
If I can speak, listen.
Fire him, cancel him, America. Oh my God, Israel's feelings have been hurt. Why don't you work for this country?
Right, can we try and get
this country instead of Israel?
Can we try?
Listen, you all know I have my criticisms of Cenk Uygur, but critical support to him for that because he is doing the Lord's work here. And as you saw, her immediate instinct was to get up and leave the interview because her cynical claim of anti-Semitism wasn't landing. Like, nobody's buying that bullshit anymore. And it's especially tone deaf coming from somebody who is married to an open white supremacist like Stephen Miller, the modern day Joseph Goebbels. Trump himself reportedly said that if it were up to Stephen Miller, there would be only 100 million people in this country and they would all look like him. On top of that, some more news did a deep dive on Miller's history, and they revealed that he was groomed by open white supremacists since he was a teenager. So when your husband is overseeing a mass deportation regime rife with human rights abuses and crimes against humanity, I'm sorry, you don't get to complain about coded language or implicit biases, you fascist fucking hack. But as angry as that interaction made me, Cenk seems to be taking it all in stride, seeing as how he very clearly got the better of her in that exchange, and he wrote on Twitter, "I hope I don't get deported for winning a debate. If Princess Snowflake is going to enter the arena, she has to understand there's no crying to mommy. If she asks her husband to deport everyone she loses a debate to, we're going to start running out of people." And I love this response, although I just wish that Cenk Uygur would abandon this naive idea that he's had for a year now that you should get beers with these people after you debate them, because they don't view him as an equal or a human being. They only care about power and total domination, and they don't want to reach across the aisle and come together with us. They want to destroy us. And these are not people that you can work with in any capacity until they renounce the fascism that they're doing and work to undo the damage that they've caused. But what made this interaction particularly sweet is how flustered Katie Miller got. And Piers Morgan was trying so hard to coddle her to keep her from walking off, but it was just an uphill battle. Just watch this clip.
Katie, I was giving you the chance to respond. If you want me to do it for you, I'm happy to do that. But normally in a panel discussion, if someone makes...
You know, Piers,
yeah, I agree, and you shouldn't be interrupted. So,
oh, I love that. I could watch that again and again. It's so good. It's so fucking good. But there really is no point in letting her talk at all, because she just repeats the same shit about how it's racist and bigoted to criticize her and her piece of shit white supremacist husband. But again, you know, it was falling on deaf ears because nobody's buying this bullshit anymore about how you're bigoted if you criticize the government of Israel, especially, again, if you are the wife of Joseph Goebbels.
I want to start off with, do you agree when your guest says that the Millers always lie? Because that's what your guest on your show just said, is that the Millers always lie. People on your show, instead of arguing the merits, as you say, of his opinions, they're going to sit here and use attacks on my husband and myself instead of debating us on our values and our opinions. It is gross, it is racist, and it is bigoted. And I will not join your show again if you
your values
speak to that.
Suck. That's what I'm debating.
yeah, you are a guest on my show, and I appreciate you coming on the show, and I like you coming on the show.
And I'm saying
but,
the two other
I
guests
think
on
you're
your
able
show
to
are welcome to participate in these anti-Semitic attacks that is so permeating on CNN and MSNBC.
This is so ridiculous.
I'm sorry.
I have to jump in here. Somebody
Anti-Semitism
criticizing
in the
you
ass.
personally is not an anti-Semitic attack. If somebody says that you are lying, that is not an attack on Jews, that is an attack on you. And just stop hiding behind identity. This is all the snowflake behavior that the right is supposedly criticizing the left for, that you're simply repeating here. Yes, Stephen Miller is a destructive force in American society. That is not an attack on Jews. That is no reference to his identity.
Perfectly said by Omar Badar there. If you call Stephen Miller a liar, you're apparently a racist. It's just... I can't fathom why anybody takes these people seriously. Imagine woke scolding somebody for calling out Stephen fucking Miller of all people. The man is one of the most destructive forces in modern American history, and this regime is destroying this country. Yet, his entitled dipshit of a wife thinks that her white nationalist husband is above criticism, and she thinks that tone policing is enough to get us to shut the fuck up about him. The audacity of this woman. And you know that she's insufferable because at a certain point, even Piers Morgan started to lose his patience with her.
I will just say this, Piers, this is my last time on this program. If you're going to invite open anti-Semitics to participate on your platform and not call it out for what it is, which is anti-Semitism,
I literally just called it out. I just called it out.
That's my point. If you're inviting him back, giving him the air.
What more do you want me to do?
Spew his hatred toward people like myself, toward people like my children, toward people like my family, and again, not debate the merits of the argument.
No one said your family. What kind of lunatic are you?
In the last segment with Rep. Randy Fine, what you said was he had said the word Muslim. He never once said the word Muslim. You immediately turn it to identity politics,
Yes, he did.
which are completely more than identity politics.
He did say the word Muslim. He did say Muslim. He did. I heard him. He did say it.
Did you notice how in the same breath she went from being pro-identity politics to anti-identity politics? It's amazing, isn't it? But let this be a reminder that money and power doesn't make you smart, as evidenced by the fact that we have the stupidest people on the planet running this country. That's why we're circling the drain, by the way. We have a President Neckpussy, who is cashing in on crypto and selling pardons and having the Justice Department pay him $230 million as restitution, I guess, because he was investigated for crimes that he did commit. You have J.D. Vance, who's married to an Indian woman with mixed-race children, excusing explicit racism again and again and again, and I guess that he thinks that the movement he's a part of is going to make an exception for his wife and kids and let them into the white ethno-state that they're trying to build. I mean, if you looked at the comments on any of the videos or photographs of him and his wife, you'll learn that that's not going to happen. Nonetheless, he keeps excusing racism. And then you've got Stephen Miller, who is rounding up immigrants and putting them in concentration camps or sending them to maximum security prisons in random African countries. But if you criticize him, you're a racist and a bigot. I can't with these people. See, it's not bigotry to gut the Voting Rights Act to dilute the voting power of Black Americans. It's not bigotry to call all LGBTQ plus people groomers while they protect pedophiles on Epstein's list, like President Neckpuss and Elon Musk. It's not bigotry to give Israel bombs to drop on the heads of Palestinians that they're trying to exterminate. It's not bigotry to arm the UAE, who in turn arms perpetrators of a genocide in Sudan. It's not bigotry to pretend like there's a white genocide going on in South Africa, but no genocide taking place in Palestine, Sudan, or the Congo, because racism and bigotry can only affect white Republicans and nobody else, of course. And on that note, there was a portion of the debate where Republican Randy Fine came on, who is one of the loudest cheerleaders for genocide in all of Congress. And that's saying something. This man is a fucking degenerate. And he's another one of these people who cynically invokes anti-Semitism to deflect criticism that he receives over his support for genocide. Now, he does that in this interview, but I don't want to play that part for you. I want you to see Cenk Uygur just pile drive him again and again and again into the ground. This was so satisfying to watch because this man has been popping off, calling individuals like Rashida Tlaib terrorists, and it is inexcusable for a member of Congress to behave this way. But just watch, because Cenk Uygur finally gives him a taste of his own medicine, and this was perfect.
If folks want to come to America, they should love it, they should share its values, and they should want to add value immediately. And far too many people who are coming do not share those values, and I believe it is a threat. The barbarians are no longer at the gate, they are now inside.
Wow. So you're calling Cenk Uygur a barbarian? Well, given he's here, let me bring him into this. Cenk, what is your response to that?
Yeah, no, I don't mind, because I agree that there are barbarians inside the gate, and that's Randy Fine. Randy Fine is a sick terrorist sympathizer. In fact, if he wants America to do terrorism on Israel's behalf, he has said we should nuke Gaza. That's killing millions of innocent children and human beings and civilians, but he doesn't care. He only cares about Israeli lives. By the way, the Israelis have murdered now nearly a dozen Americans in the West Bank. No accountability from our government. And people like Randy Fine say we owe Israel. We owe Israel a genocide. We owe Israel $300 billion. We owe them no accountability at all when they kill American citizens. They had a pervert Israeli government official that came here in Vegas and tried to rape our children, and we let him go. That's insane. Randy Fine, are you asking for the sick Israeli government to return the pedophile so he could face justice here? No, Randy Fine represents Israel, not America. Everybody knows that. He also said we should starve all the Gazans. So he's right. There's a sickness inside our government. AIPAC and the Israeli lobby have given to 90% of Congress. They've given him $500,000, and that was a giant waste because he works for Israel already. So, Randy, we're all sick of your terrorist sympathies towards Israel. They have committed 75 October 7th. Their civilian kill ratio is 83%, worse than Hamas, worse than any terrorist organization. They have murdered 256 journalists, more than all other conflicts combined. They murdered 104 people today, including 46 children. They burned them alive. And we're sick of Israeli terrorism, and we're sick of people like you forcing good Americans. I love this country. I didn't come here to be a occupied territory of Israel. I came here because I love America and the freedom and the equality and the justice that comes with it. If you think your grandparents who came here were not loyal to America, You know, that's your business. But no, most of the people that come here come because we absolutely love this country and not Israel. Why don't you go to the Knesset, brother? Everybody knows you love Israel and you despise Palestinians and you love Israeli terrorism. So why don't you move to Tel Aviv already?
Okay.
Cenk. Credit where it's due. That was amazing. And I would love to see a TYT redemption arc. Like, I don't think that there's any hope left for Anna. I think she's too far gone. But from time to time, you do get a glimpse of the old Cenk Uygur, and it's really nice to see that. He should bring that version of himself more often, as opposed to the angry, cynical Cenk who needlessly attacks Sam and Emma from Majority Report. But nonetheless, he did great there. And I would highly encourage you to watch the full debate, which I'll link to down below, because Randy Fine was actually seething after that interaction because he was apparently ambushed because he was told by producers that this was just going to be a one-on-one with Piers. However, he attacked Cenk, and then Piers gave him the opportunity to respond to Randy Fine's attacks, and then it led to that interaction where Randy Fine got his cheeks clapped. But he tried to play it off like, you know, he wasn't mad. He just would have preferred to get a heads up next time. Sure, Randy. Sure, you're definitely not mad. But see, the reason why these people don't want to debate their ideas is because they cannot defend their positions, which is why they invoke identity politics or whine about how unfair the circumstances are of the panel or debate that they're on. And I'm so sick of them, if you couldn't already tell. I'm sick of them pretending like they're the victims while they shit on the Constitution, destroy our institutions, take away our civil rights and civil liberties, and they just expect us to shut up and take their fucking oppression with smiles on our faces. If we complain, we're victimizing them, even though they're the ones with all the power right now. And on that note, they indicted one of the best candidates for Congress, Kat Abu-Ghazaleh, because she dared to protest against the masked thugs unlawfully terrorizing her community, and she faces a maximum of 6 to 8 years in prison, I believe. And she was the one that was assaulted by ICE agents, but their crimes go unpunished because, according to Katie Miller's dumbass husband, ICE agents have federal immunity. He actually said this on national television. Therefore, anything that they do is legal and just. They can't violate any laws, apparently. In other words, they're above the law. They also finally released Larry Bushard, a retired cop, after he spent months in a Tennessee jail for simply posting an anti-Charlie Kirk meme on Facebook. Like, they basically just get to make up the laws as they go to punish all of their political opponents and make examples out of people that they don't like. But don't you dare criticize them for their lawlessness or their lies. Otherwise, you're the one who's a bigot, according to Katie Miller. Fuck that. Listen, if we ever have a free and fair election again, the Democrat who runs on revenge is going to shoot to the top of the polls in a primary because it's our turn for retribution after all of this. All of these crimes and constitutional violations cannot go unpunished. These people are destroying this fucking country, and everything that they're doing right now to leftists and liberals needs to come back to them tenfold.